Our world is a thought world. What you think is what you experience.
Hey there. Welcome to Top of Mind. Real talk for today's woman. With Anna and Karen.
We're
So
back,
we're back.
and it's March.
I know. Isn't it crazy? Wow.
Whew. The days are long, but the years are short, girl.
Yes. I'll tell you, today I looked for a background that was bright and sunny because I'm so fed up with winter up here in Canada and didn't quite get it, but the sun's been out today. It's been wonderful. It's 8 degrees Celsius, that is.
Oh, what's that in Fahrenheit?
Oh, God, double it and add 30.
30.
46,
Okay. Because it was close to
32,
60
48.
here. It was like 57 degrees.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to
Yeah.
be like a week of 50s.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're not quite at 50, getting close though, but
Okay.
still, God only knows because we could end up with another dump of snow. It's only beginning, not it's the end of February. So
Right. Well, we said March, but this is your
yes,
March top of
yes.
mind
Oh, sorry. Yes,
episodes.
that's right. Recording favorite. By the way, this is Canadian talk, what we're doing right now. Just in case you Americans don't understand, Canadians are obsessed because we have 4 seasons. So we're obsessed with the weather. So we talk about when it's too hot, we talk about when it's too cold. It's never just right. So just so you know. So unfortunately, I just dragged Anna down my Canadian hole.
So you guys actually have four seasons too?
Yes.
Because that's us in the mid-Atlantic too, which is kind of nice. So
Right.
we have,
Yes.
spring. I mean, everybody has four seasons, but weather-wise, it looks different.
Yes. Does California have 4 seasons?
I feel like I don't know. I feel
Hawaii?
like technically everybody has four seasons. Because when would you plant if you didn't have spring?
Okay. Yes. All right. Yes, Earth Mother. Yes, of
Yes.
course. I
So
didn't think of it that way.
I mean, the Earth
Yeah.
recognizes and has four seasons. Mother Nature, that's just how it is.
Yes.
So,
Yes. So
so what do you want to talk about today?
just so you know, she did that because I told her to start off with this series. So I guess I will start us off. Okay.
Yes. Oh,
Actually, what I wanted to talk about was um, I study books with a study partner, and one of the books we've been reading is The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And I won't read it because I'll take the entire paragraph to understand it, but basically what it talks about. And the reason why I want to talk about it is because I've really been contemplating it the last couple of weeks. Basically, it wants you to think. He wants you. He says that you need to assume. You need to think. You need to assume and approach everything in your life with the highest and noblest of happiest concepts. That when you look for that, you will see it. But then he pushes us to talk about seeing only the good that people do and the good in them. So not just apply to yourself, to everybody around you. And as most of you know, like I'm a police officer, so sometimes that's a bit of a stretch. But
mhm.
Mel Robbins also did something about this about a month ago that kind of connects with it, where she talked about, or the person she had on said that adults and children want to do good. That's the first instinct. And when they don't and they fall short, it's because the environment doesn't support them in doing that good. And I really started to think about that, looking back at my own history, at other people's histories. And so, for example, when I look around work, the people I work with, okay, like not the people I arrest, but the people I work with, just
Mhm.
looking at when they've fallen down. Like say, for example, they lost their temper, they did that. It was like looking at what is the environment, because I'm part of that environment. How can I support people differently? And just in my own life, looking at how can I support people differently to make sure that the environment is conducive to that. And of course, stretching my own imagination to go out there and to look for the highest. He talks about the highest good. I think of it as our highest purpose or higher self or whatever you want to put it, but that better version of ourselves that we're always looking for, and the better version of life out there. Not the better, the best, you
Mhm.
know. Because I'm not looking for something better. I'm looking for the best. When I meant the best, that's greatest. So anyway, that's what it was. I've been contemplating a lot about. So initially, what are your thoughts about that, Anna?
Well, I just kind of read like a
Sure.
little synopsis of a book about how much our environment impacts us or
Mm.
influences us. So that was kind of an interesting thing for you to bring up.
Hmm.
Um, and again, I still, because I relate everything back to everything we've already talked about. And I think about like seeing the best in someone is seeing someone again with love.
Okay, here we go. Love. Yes.
Love. Sorry, it all comes, the shit all comes back to love. But it's true because, I mean, that's a hard concept to, always try to see just the good in people.
Oh,
And
it is.
then what happens to our brain, right?
What?
Well,
What?
then
Tell me. I'm hanging on the edge of the seat.
our brain always looks for proof of what we think.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yes.
So if we're always looking for the good in people, then that is what we're going to train our brain to see, right?
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, man, Neville Goddard is next level reading. I mean, it's very, very like, and I'm going to kill the word, a- esoteric, very
Yeah.
like,
Esoteric.
yeah, very lofty.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Esoteric out there, but is he really out there? The more that I read this stuff and get into it, the Marianne Williamsons and all, Wayne Dyer,
yep.
it's like, Matrix. Our world is a
Oh my
thought.
God, I can't believe you just said that.
Our world is a thought world. What you think is what you experience.
I swear to God, I was having this discussion with myself today, bringing
Oh
up
my
the
God.
Matrix as a possible topic for us because it's the whole concept of us create. I know it's weird. I swear to God, it's so weird. Um, the whole concept of us being the creator of our life,
Yeah.
and that our reality is or the picture is what we create it to be. We see what we want to see.
Oh, absolutely. And we experience not necessarily what we want to experience, but as I say, what happens to us is because of who we are. you know and okay, so if we're going to go down this hole, I've been like part of a mastermind for a couple of years where we look at all this stuff and why we study some of these books and things like that. And I remember um trying to figure out if I want to say this on air. I've probably said it before, I don't know, but anyway, I remember when I was about 8 years sober, when I realized, now I've not been an officer this my whole life. Like, I came to it as a second career. So I remember when all of a sudden I made this connection. I've been sober 8 years, and guess what? I haven't been arrested in 8 years. Because I used to be a loudmouth, I'd cause disruptions, like I always had the police showing up, I was on the plane, I ain't a plane officer or somebody else was, it didn't matter. And I wasn't stupid enough. I mean, I wasn't smart enough to run away when they came. Officer, please arrest him. Why are you arresting me? So anyway, so I used to get in a lot of trouble. And it took 8 years for me to realize. I thought that it was because, like, I was a bad person or I did bad things or that. It took a long time for me to realize that no, it was about alcohol for me, and
Mhm,
also who I was at that time,
mhm.
the way I just viewed things. And the reason why things hadn't happened was because, I sobered up and went to AA, and I tried to become a much more honorable person. Well, being an honorable person doesn't mean that you're doing things that led you in trouble with the police. Like, I couldn't tell you, like even COVID. As a police officer, I was called to so many places that I would never have been or come in contact with a person before. Why? Because they aren't the type of people doing the types of things that invite that. So, what we do and what we be and what we think about ourselves is exactly what the world reflects back to us.
Mhm. Why are you quiet?
I'm sitting here thinking, hello, it's your turn. Why are you going quiet?
I'm so sorry because I was deep in thought.
I
But no,
know, no, talk. We're doing this podcast
I know.
or whatever it
Again,
is.
it just blows my mind because I was thinking about all this today. I really was. And now it's like you bring up the Matrix, and I thought specifically about the Matrix because that's the whole thing about the Matrix is that he created his reality kind of thing,
Yep,
right? Um and yeah, and I agree whether it's through, what we attract based on our vibration
yep.
or I 100% I agree. I agree.
Okay. So that's the end of the story. If anybody wants to, give us any, do you have any opinions on this? Because Anna agrees and we're done. Anna, yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh my
But
God, we
no,
went from crying last month to just laughing and fooling around here. I hope we're entertaining you because I'm certainly
I
entertaining
understand.
myself today.
Don't make me think about that video because I will laugh again. Like, you are so good for my soul. Let me first tell you that. You are so good for my soul. Like, please know I rewatch our stuff before I post it.
Yes,
And
I
I
know.
was laughing, I was crying, I was nanu today because I reposted that video. So I just want you to know that you are good for my soul. So thank you for being in my life. So
Oh, thank you, Anna.
um but yeah, I think it's just it's a hard concept, and I think it took me a long time because again, like I always was like, oh my God, my family, look at my family. Um, look at what happened to me. Look at, it was from the victim mentality as if my life was something that was happening to me versus what I was creating. So it took me a really, really long time to wrap my arms around that. And I'm still, sometimes, I ebb and flow. Sometimes I recognize myself as the creator, and sometimes, I might want to take that slippery slope of victimhood.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and I have, somebody, and I'm not going to like go into a whole lot of details, but in my family, and I'm not like close to them, but I see their posts. And dude is always a victim, always misunderstood, always takes the high road, but everybody misrepresents who he is. Um, and sometimes I find myself that little, keyboard warrior, and I have to stop myself because, like I think sometimes it's easier for us to recognize in someone else than it is in ourselves.
What do they say? If you see it, name it, it's yours. Like, so you don't recognize it unless you see it somebody else. I remember, like an example is I
Mhm.
went to go to some mind bending thing. And I remember he gave me a concept and he says, if this happened, like, would you do this for bad or something? And it's like, I said, I don't understand the question. And he asked it again in a different way. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. And he said, it's okay. And I understood what he meant was because I wasn't getting the concept means I don't think that way. It's kind
Interesting.
of, it's that whole idea that if I'm cheating, I figure everybody else is, and I see that, and I have that suspicion type of idea in the world, right? So
Hmm.
it's much like what you said.
Hmm. So if we turn that to good,
Yes.
and instead of saying, "Hey, I see someone cheating," I say, "Wow, look at that person trying."
Yep.
Um, but I think, getting back to what you just said about, um, if you don't understand it, then it's, like it's a
Yeah.
concept what that you don't understand.
Yeah. So what I was learning human interaction technology, which is basically it's neurolinguistic programming that
Hmm.
this fellow has kind of branded himself his own way, and he actually does the hypnotizing and things like that. So I was learning this, and so where he can make suggestions to people that are suggestible and have them do things. And I said to him, I don't have a chance on this phone call with you. Of course I'm going to come because how do I say no to you? Which is
Hmm.
true. Sue even said it to me beforehand. Be careful because no matter what, you can't say no. And in whatever he was suggesting, it was kind of like I just spent a couple of minutes with people on the phone to get a sense of them to make sure that they're not going to get out there and use this because he's had people use this for what he calls bad. And I don't
Hmm.
really understand what that is. Like, I don't know how you'd use that, selling somebody something. I don't know
Yeah,
what.
dark psychology. Yep.
Yeah, and he asked me, and I didn't really understand at the time what he was getting at, whatever way he put it, but that's what he was essentially asking. And
Hmm.
because I didn't understand, he said I answered his question because it was beyond my comprehension.
Okay. Because that's how sometimes that's where I am with Neville Goddard, honestly. Truly. And again, it ebbs and flows. And I think, because I do study Marion Williamson, but I have trouble with his concepts right now.
Yep. Just in
So
yeah, just in understanding of it. The idea is that we have a negative bias, right? Like you've talked about that before, the negative
mhm,
bias. The
yep.
fact is we have to work very hard. Like I've been 35 years in self-development, self-help, involved in all sorts of fads that come and go and everything like that. And it's like the main thing that I've learned, if you ask me in all those years, is that I've learned what that inner chatter is, and it was negative. and it was killing me, and it was killing everybody else around me too, and my life, and I had to change that, and it's not easy. And it's kind of like
Mhm.
when you said you try a little bit, you go back, you try a little bit, you go back. But you have to keep applying, 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 applying. And I can tell you that I do great nowadays. I have a very positive demeanor, outlook. I see the good in people. I mean, why this all came up for me is really challenging myself how much further to push it. Like, I mean, I even treat the people that, I arrest with sirs and yes and this type of stuff and respect. And I see the little boy or the little girl that's hurting them or the drug addict or whatever, like doesn't mean I still don't want them on bail conditions and that. But anyway,
Right.
I
Yeah.
digress. But the whole idea is you have to, it takes a lot of work and practice. And just like that, if I let it go for too long, if I'm sitting alone for too long, it's a bit of an
Mhm.
interesting thing, and I'll talk about this later because I suffer horribly from depression as well, and bouts of it at times. And like, how can you be so positive and yet have this depression? And I'll talk about that in the next one, or the one after, because it's your turn next. But the idea is my state of mind is a bit different than my energy. It's about, for me, hope and that energy.
Hmm. Now you're going to take me down the rabbit hole because you got to explain how your energy can be different than your state of mind.
Okay, we'll do that. I'll make a note. Okay,
Okay.
energy.
Because that is a freaking deep rabbit hole.
Depression. Okay. So anyway, on this one, what I wanted to do is just to bring up, like I said, I've been really challenging myself in every
Mhm.
situation. Like, for example, some guy cuts me off. Rather than I can't drive and all this in my head, it's kind of like, and not doing the, sometimes I do the bless you,
Or the,
bless you, yeah, but no, instead it's kind of like, they're just being them. They're just trying to get to the place as fast as possible. They didn't mean to cut me off. I mean, that's where they didn't mean to cut me off. They didn't do
hmm
it to me. They were
hmm
just trying to do something, you know?
right.
So I'm really trying to see that in different ways, um, of just recognizing that people are just living their life. They're unconscious. The person who didn't hold the door open for me at work, like, oh, fucking how rude. I was very shocked, but it was like, instead of, well, actually, I just did it, didn't I? I did do how rude. I
Uh-huh.
tried to turn it around to, oh, they were up in their head and just not paying attention. I couldn't tell you how often that happens with me, like, I don't even
hmm
hear you say hello unless you say my name. So, so again, it's, I challenge people. See, until you start to look for the positive, you won't recognize how negative you are. It's kind of like when you want to have patience, like there's a joke in AA, if I'm at the back of the line, who the fuck prayed for patience today? Because it's not that you get it, it's that you
Right.
have an opportunity to practice it. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying today is to go out and try to see the positive, the good in people, that people have good intentions around you. They're not cutting you off. They're not doing this. They didn't take your drink on purpose, that it was all, they have good intentions. I want you to think about that, because what's going to happen is you're going to notice how negative you are, because you're going
hmm
to see it all. And I'm going to say something it's maybe controversial. When I think about this, when I think about the kids, when I was in the group homes, and I think about that environment, and the environment that it was trying to create. And I understand now what that was to hold them up for better intentions. I didn't really realize it at the time.
hmm
You know, one of the first things we did was put them back in school, where they would, at least when they're going every day, they at least have some feeling of accomplishment. Make their beds, simple little things like that. But then
Right.
how do you foster that? So if you have, and I'm just saying, just evaluate, just ask yourself the question. If you have a teenager, the fact of the matter is this stuff doesn't just happen yesterday. It didn't happen 3 months ago. It didn't 6 months ago to 3 years ago is why you are where you are here now. It's not because of last week's decisions. You didn't put on the 20 pounds in a week. You did it 6 months ago. You
hmm
didn't go bankrupt 6 months ago. It was from your choices 3 years ago and everything since. So
hmm
there's a time lapse, right? So it's kind of like, if you're having problems with a teenager, that stuff like that, you probably lost it quite a while ago. You just haven't recognized it. But what I'm going to suggest to you is, take a look at the environment. Are you creating the environment to do everything for them to make the best and to be the best person that they can be? Or is your environment that you're providing, giving them, supporting them in that negativity? Like, again, if we go back to what Mel Robbins said, people and kids, they want to do good. We need to make sure that the environment supports them in doing good. So when they don't, where's our responsibility in that? Like I said, don't send me trash mail. Send it to Anna. But I just ask you to think about that.
No, I think it's a good thing. And it's not just even say the teenager, but it's how can we apply that in work?
Yep.
How can we apply that, when we see people in the store or on the street? Because yeah, how can we apply that? I think that's a really good challenge.
Challenge. Anna loves
Challenge.
challenges. And
I
there's
love
your challenge.
challenges.
I want to know if you can change that negative Nelly around and see the positive and good that people are doing, that they're just living their life. They're not doing it to you. They're trying to be good intention. So let us know what you think down in the comments. And thank you for joining us today. I'm Karen Vale, a confidence and mindset coach, and I am here with,
Anna Jennings, I'm your midlife mentor.
thank you.